So coming to the very important glomerular syndrome, that is nephrotic syndrome. So we all know that nephrotic syndrome is characterized by a typical pentad of nephrotic range proteinuria, hypoalbuminemia, anasarca, which is basically severe generalized edema, hyperlipidemia, and lipiduria. We shall study each of them in details. Now, how do you classify nephrotic syndrome? So, nephrotic syndrome can be broadly classified into primary nephrotic syndrome, secondary nephrotic syndrome, or genetic causes of nephrotic syndrome. Now, primary nephrotic syndrome, as the name implies, there is no cause, and we all know that we have found a fancy word for a terminology that has no cause, that is idiopathic. Secondary, that is, it is associated with a systemic disorder. And genetic causes of nephrotic syndrome are basically known as familial podocytopathies. They are also known as familial podocytopathy. Now, what are the few prototypical examples of primary nephrotic syndrome? It will be primary minimal chain disease. It will be primary focal segmental glomerulosclerosis or idiopathic membranous nephropathy, to which we write as MN and not as MGN, because I told you, technically speaking, membranous is not a glomerulonephritis. Coming to secondary nephrotic syndromes associated with systemic disorders, and what better example than our very own diabetes mellitus leading to diabetic nephropathy, systemic lupus erythematosus, or amyloidosis. Coming to familial podocytopathy, which we will study in details in the inherited nephrotic syndromes, but just in a gist, the familial podocytopathies or the inherited or the genetic causes of nephrotic syndrome are usually the autosomal recessive and the autosomal dominant. The autosomal recessive ones are the N due to the mutation of NPHS1 and the NPHS2, which is basically the nephrin and the podosin, whereas the autosomal dominant ones are the Wilms tumor 1 gene, the TRPC6, the MYH9, and of course the actinin 4. So these are the important causes of nephrotic syndrome, that is, we divide them into primary, secondary, and genetic causes of nephrotic syndrome. So what are the common glomerular disease that present as a nephrotic syndrome? Now, why I am discussing this table is also very important, because recently in the NEET super specialty a question was directly asked from this table. Now, we all know that minimal chain disease, focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, and membranous are prototypical examples. But also MPGN type 1, dense deposit disease, and cryoglobulinemia can present as nephrotic syndromes. They can present as nephrotic syndromes. In fact, usually, so these are all examples of primary nephrotic syndrome, whereas these are example of secondary nephrotic syndrome. So it was an all except question in which dense deposit disease was mentioned. So we do know now that dense deposit disease can present, though it's a very uncommon disorder, it can present as nephrotic syndrome. It can present as nephrotic syndrome in adults. So these are the common nephrotic syndromes, the details of which we shall study subsequently. Now, coming to the definition of nephrotic syndrome. Nephrotic syndrome is defined as proteinuria, but how much proteinuria? That is nephrotic range proteinuria. But what do you mean by nephrotic range proteinuria? So it is defined as proteinuria in adults and in pediatric population. How much? In adults, it is defined as 24-hour urinary protein more than equal to 3.5 grams per day, or urine protein creatinine ratio more than equal to 3000 milligrams per gram of creatinine, or urine dipstick more than 3 plus. Coming to pediatric population, it is defined as more than equal to 40 milligram per hour per meter square body surface area, or UPCR more than 2000 milligram per gram of creatinine. This is the definition of the nephrotic range proteinuria. Again, the dipstick is defined as, dipstick also here is more than equal to 3 plus, more than equal to 3 plus. So I repeat myself, in adults, nephrotic syndrome, nephrotic range proteinuria is defined as more than equal to 3.5 grams per day, or UPCR more than equal to 3000 milligram per gram of creatinine, or urine dipstick protein more than equal to 3 plus. In children, it is more than equal to 40 milligram per meter square per hour body surface area, or UPCR more than equal to 2000 milligram per gram of creatinine, or urine dipstick more than equal to 3 plus. Now, coming to hypoalbuminemia, there is also hypoalbuminemia. Now, what are the reasons behind a hypoalbuminemic state in nephrotic syndrome? Now, one, as you all know, will be protein loss in the urine. But is this the only answer? No, it is not the only answer. Number one is protein loss. Number two is increased catabolism. And number three is decreased hepatic synthesis, because it is an inflammatory process. It is not the mere proteinuria. It is not the mere loss of the protein in the urine, because if the patient was losing say 5 grams of protein, and if you make the patient have supplement 5 grams of protein externally, will it not lead to depression in serum albumin? It does. Despite you being supplementing the protein from outside, it still depresses the serum albumin. How does it do so? It does so because it is not merely the loss of protein, but also due to increased catabolism and decreased hepatic synthesis. Now, hypoalbuminemia also characteristically leads to a characteristic nail change, which is known as the white bands in the nails, if you can see. And these changes, these lines are known as Muir lines. This is known as the Muir nails. Mind you, this is not the half and half nail or the Lindsay nail, which we have discussed in the chronic kidney disease. That is separate. There the distal half is pink, the proximal half is white. Here you have the Muir nail, which are transverse linear bands on the nail band due to hypoalbuminemia. So this is again a consequence of hypoalbuminemia. Now, usually you can have an albumin less than 3 grams per deciliter in nephrotic syndrome. So nephrotic syndrome is defined as proteinuria more than equal to 3.5 grams per day, hypoalbuminemia, and anasarca. Anasarca is defined as generalized subcutaneous edema. Now, we can see in these two photographs, there is severe edema here. It usually begins so, especially in children, from the periorbital spaces, because there is plenty of loose areolar tissue in this area. So when a person especially gets up from sleep, he has severe periorbital puffiness, and of course it settles down in all the dependent positions and also in the legs. So here we have the swollen legs and we have the periorbital edema. Now, what is the cause of anasarca? If I ask you, the most common cause of anasarca in nephrotic syndrome is, most of us will answer hypoalbuminemia. But it is the most commonly given wrong answer. It is not hypoalbuminemia, which is the most common cause. It is just a mere contributory factor. The most common cause is sodium and water retention. Sodium and water retention. So this is the most common cause of anasarca in nephrotic syndrome. Very, very important. Very, very important.